Darren Rovell tweeted out the 10 most likable NFL players by appeal. And we will go from descending order, starting with number 10. It is Mr. Rob Gronkowski. I don't know why Rob Gronkowski is just universally liked, while there's so many other players that are as much of a clown as he is that are just hated. There's a hypocrisy there. But Gronk got a 56 appeal rating. And then below that, we start to go, the only reason Dak Prescott is the most likable, the 9th most likable player, the only reason is because he's semi-decent as the Dallas Cowboys starting quarterback. And as Drew McGarry pointed out in Why Your Team Sucks in the Dallas Cowboys edition, he does make the point that, like, if Dak Prescott even so much as drops 0.5 of a quarterback rating compared to last year, or costs them one game at any point, they will be screaming for Tony Romo again. Because that's how the Cowboys fans kind of react to these type of things. So, Dak's on the list because I guess Ezekiel Elliott couldn't make it because, he may or may not have committed domestic violence. But don't act like the Cowboys fans wouldn't have given enough likability rating to Ezekiel Elliott either. Aaron Rodgers, number 8. Makes sense. Von Miller, number 7. Also makes sense. He's super quirky. He's weird. He's entertaining. And he's a damn good linebacker in the NFL. And, I mean, besides being a Super Bowl MVP, like, Von Miller might be the best defensive player in the league and is still not talked about as the best defensive player in the league because of the competition there is for this otherworldly defensive, whatever. I don't care. You know what? Football season hasn't kicked off yet. Even if this goes up tomorrow after the game, I have at least 5 more hours to prepare for football season. So everyone needs to take a chill pill. I think he should play with glasses on. Antonio Brown, of course. Of course Antonio Brown is 6th most liked player in the league. I think Antonio Brown could be like the 1st liked player in the league, but there's no debating who number 1 is. Understandably so, but we're not there yet. Number 5 is Derek Carr. Number 4 is Jordy Nelson. Why is Jordy Nelson on this list? I mean, what? Why is Jordy Nelson more liked than Aaron Rodgers? No offense to Jordy Nelson. I like Jordy Nelson, but if I was to pick my 4 players I like the most in the league, Jordy Nelson wouldn't crack the top 50. He wouldn't come to mind, is really what I'm trying to say. It's not that he wouldn't crack the top 50. He just wouldn't come to mind as a guy who I'd be like, man, Jordy Nelson's a guy I want to have a beer with. No, I'll have a beer with Gronk, Aaron, Von Miller. Number 3, Drew Brees, sure. Have a beer with Drew Brees. Number 2, J.J. Watt. He just raised $1 billion for Houston, and truthfully, the American bank system, American financial system is likely going to have to call J.J. Watt to raise all the money for whatever the hell Irma is going to do, literally sweeping through the islands and hopefully, not hopefully, but hopefully they stay safe inside of Florida. One note on Hurricane Irma. If you have a pet and you live in the South Florida area and you leave your pet at home while you evacuate, you deserve to be hit by the hurricane full force and your pet should get your retirement money. Because that is just fucked up and it happens every single time a major hurricane hits Florida. Don't leave your pets. They are living beings. You can leave your goldfish, like they'll fucking float around in the winds and think it's the greatest thing ever. Number 1, Larry Fitzgerald. Because, yeah, no shit. Larry Fitzgerald has been consistently, not just obviously his Hall of Fame career, and arguably a top 5 wide receiver to ever play the game. He missed a Super Bowl. He missed a Super Bowl trophy and a Super Bowl ring because Santonio Holmes made as good of a catch as you'll ever see in Super Bowl history, in NFL playoffs history, in just NFL history, especially given the timing. But everyone seems to just forget who put them on top with like a 60-yard, for I think it was like 45-yard breakaway run up the gut off the catch, and that was Larry Fitzgerald. He was putting the Cardinals in position to win the Super Bowl that most people thought, Cardinals, Steelers, who fucking cares? It's going to be boring. It's one of the best Super Bowls ever played. So he just missed out on that part of his history. It's the only thing he's missing is a Super Bowl ring to really round out his historic career. On top of that, Larry Fitzgerald went through so many different quarterbacks at one point, not so many different, but a handful of different quarterbacks before he got Carson Palmer, and then he had to readjust completely. There's that little dip in his career for 2 years where, you know, he fell under like 80 receptions and he fell under 1,000 yards receiving. He wasn't scoring as many touchdowns, and he just changed his game completely. And for the last 2.5 years, he's returned to as the most trustworthy, dominant receivers in the league. And at some point we have to wonder about age. Of course we're going to have to wonder about age. But whenever Larry Fitzgerald decides to retire, he gets his number retired, he gets his jersey put in the Hall of Fame, and he gets to walk into the Hall of Fame as one of the greatest receivers ever. But it's also just how it seems contagious of, I would say, like a smile the guy has when he plays football. He's the type of guy that walks into the locker room that you would think, purely speculative, but it's an old baseball saying, like, we get to play baseball today. Well, I feel like Larry Fitzgerald walks in the locker room and goes, guys, we get to play football today. And he's always just seems happy and smiling and having a great time and constantly scoring touchdowns. And just, you can't hate Larry Fitzgerald. There's nothing to hate Larry Fitzgerald about. So the rankings should be top NFL players by appeal. Larry Fitzgerald number 1, 2 through the remaining 800 people in the league. Doesn't matter. You're not Larry Fitzgerald. Comment below, like, favorite, subscribe. We'll see you next time.